In June 2025, the 5th International Meditation Conference was held at Jichankar in Thimphu, Bhutan, hosted by the Center for Bhutan and GNH Studies, marking a unique convergence of global perspectives. Held from the 3rd to the 6th, the event brought together meditation masters, scientists, philosophers, and practitioners from around the world. Under the theme Science, Meditation, and Mindfulness, the conference explored the meeting points between ancient contemplative practices and modern research. Topics ranged from neuroplasticity and AI to indigenous traditions, dream yoga, and ethical dimensions of consciousness studies. Across 4 days, participants shared insights, demonstrated techniques, and reflected on the evolving role of meditation in science, culture, and daily life. We now present to you 6 speakers we interviewed from the conference. Hi Amelia.
Hi.
Thank you for being here and we truly appreciate your time. So before we start, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers?
Hello, my name is Dr. Amelia Hall and I am an Associate Professor of Buddhism at Naropa University in Boulder, Colorado. I also serve as the Dean of Graduate Collective, which are graduate programs. And this is my 3rd time visiting Bhutan, so I'm really happy to be back. And I'm here at this conference presenting on a contemplative practice, examination practice that we call the Warrior Exam at Naropa University.
To start with, I would like to ask you, for those who are new to Naropa, and how would you describe the university's approach to education and its emphasis on contemplative learning?
So, Naropa University was founded by a Tibetan Lama called Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. He escaped from Tibet in 1959, he first came to India, then he went to the UK, and then he traveled to the United States. And he founded Naropa University in 1974. And at that time, things like mindfulness, contemplative education, these were almost unheard of in, certainly in the United States and certainly in terms of applying them in a university setting or in education. So Naropa University really is at the forefront. In fact, if you look at the beginnings, the first summer session of Naropa was really the first time that mindfulness was taught in the United States. So Naropa University is known as one of the original places that mindfulness came to the West. And it was brought by Trungpa Rinpoche, but also other teachers like Thich Nhat Hanh, Sharon Salzberg, a lot of people that brought meditation techniques into the United States and into the West. And Naropa was founded with the idea of the ancient tradition of Nalanda University in the Buddhist tradition, this idea of a scholar practitioner. So not just intellectual understanding, but also an integrated insight, experiential, embodied knowing. So if you know the story of Naropa, Naropa was the abbot of Nalanda University, and he was a great scholar. So Naropa he's this great scholar, he has all of this knowledge, and one day this old hag shows up and asks him, do you understand all these things that you're teaching? And he says, yes, I understand the words, and I also understand the meaning. But he actually knew in that moment that he really didn't have an embodied understanding. And the hag, who's actually a dakini in disguise, starts weeping and being very upset because he only understands the words, but not the full meaning, not really the experiential meaning. And this is what spurs Naropa to leave and find his teacher Tilopa and become this great Mahasiddha, this great practitioner. So this is the story. At every student orientation, we tell the story. Sometimes we have a play, we have professors dress up as Naropa and the hag, but we emphasize this complete education that isn't just intellectual memorization. It's not entirely intellectual, but it's also experiential and embodied. And so we have contemplative practices in every one of our classes. It's a key element of every course that we teach at Naropa has a contemplative component to it. And it's very much now becoming much more mainstream in the United States because of how successful the students are in terms of what they learn in this way. And the examinations that we do, the warrior exam, is a way that we examine our students to demonstrate not just factual knowledge but embodied.
So talking about warrior exam, how is it different from a conventional oral exam or academic presentation, and what are its advantages?
So it draws from some of the old traditions of oral exams, and these are very good, I think, especially now that we have AI and, you can, I'm a professor, I have students, and I know sometimes that they've used AI to write an essay, for example. And one of the things that we ask the students is, why are you using AI? What is it that's making you want to use that instead of your own insights? And a lot of time it's fear. Oh, I don't want to seem like I'm stupid, or I'm afraid, or things like that. And the oral exams also, they put you on the spot, right? And there's that moment when you're on the spot, you're giving a talk, you're public speaking, and you freeze and you forget everything. But actually, what is it like to actually ride that energy, to actually understand it, and be able to be there even if you do feel afraid, even if you do freeze up? You're actually teaching a student to be confident. You're giving courage and confidence, and that you can also have compassion for your own experience. So this is a quality of the warrior exam that I think is sometimes missing from maybe a conventional oral examination, where a lot of the time, the students are just terrified, right? You know it's your turn, you get up and you've spent maybe 2 weeks memorizing everything, and then you just go like this. But have you integrated it into your understanding? So what I think is the beautiful part of this type of contemplative examination is it's not just demonstrating knowing the facts, but it's understanding the meaning and integrating it into your own direct experience.
I was wondering, why is it called warrior exam?
When it was developed, it was developed with the idea of a word that your viewers will know, which is Pawo. I know there's lots of people in Bhutan called Pawo. So what does Pawo mean?
Warrior.
Warrior, right? It means brave, right? Pawo means brave, right? So it's about being brave, and the ideal of a warrior, let's say in the Himalayan tradition of Pawo, it isn't about aggression, it isn't about dominance. It has compassion at its heart, at its core, right? Skill, compassion. A warrior isn't someone who's never afraid. A warrior is someone who shows up anyway, even when they're afraid. They will still show up. So it's about bravery, not safety. So if you think of what are the good qualities of a warrior, so I'm going to put you on the spot. If I asked you, what are 3 things that come to your mind when I say the word Pawo?
Brave.
Brave.
Compassionate.
Compassionate.
I guess power.
Power. Yeah. Don't you think those are all good qualities to encourage in education and students? So this is why it's called the warrior exam.
What was being on the context? Being on the spot. And the context means.
One of this, and I think this is a quote from Trungpa Rinpoche, but there's an article written by one of my colleagues at Naropa. Her name is Dale Azriel, and she wrote about the warrior exam, and the title of it is "The Love of Wisdom Puts You on the Spot." And in English, this term "being put on the spot" means suddenly the spotlight is on you. You have to show up. Everyone's looking at you, and most of the time, if you do that, a very common thing is to freeze and you're scared. But what if you could relax in that moment and be very present?
Very difficult.
It's very difficult, but the practices of mindfulness, the kinds of practices that come from the Buddhist tradition, allow you to be present, even if you feel afraid. I'm being filmed for TV now. Of course I feel nervous, but it's okay that I feel nervous. I'm not going to let being nervous stop me from speaking. I'll just feel it. So I'm here on the spot, but I'm here anyway.
What changes have you personally seen in students as a result of sustained contemplative practices?
One of the things that really stands out, certainly when we have students that when they start at Naropa, so some of our programs are 4 years, some of them are 3 years, some are 2 years. The difference when they start and when they finish is quite extraordinary sometimes. I mean, I have had students that they couldn't even speak in a classroom publicly. They're so nervous. If you even called on them for in a classroom to speak, their face would go bright red and they'd go out of the room. And I've seen a student go from that to presenting in front of a conference with total confidence. And so I think this is a very noticeable difference, is the building of confidence and the sense of working with whatever is your experience. And contemplative education practices such as mindfulness practice, lots of other ways that you can bring in contemplative practice, not just mindfulness. There's lots of different ways of what that looks like. But when a student is able to understand their own experience and really have insight into it, they can relax a little bit, and the learning becomes it becomes deeper, it becomes much more integrated and embodied. And so we've now been teaching in this way for 50 years at Naropa. We have a lot of evidence that shows really how successful this type of education is. There's been many studies, and now many other universities in the United States are coming to us to learn how we have integrated this into our education. And many top universities now are using these practices and building centers for contemplative studies.
You have already, I think, answered my next question. I was about to ask you, do you think the warrior exam concept, can be adapted in other cultural practices or other academic context?
I do. I think especially somewhere like Bhutan, because the practice was developed by a Tibetan who grew up in a monastery and had this idea of debate, which, the monastic debate, which is very recognizable to in the Himalayan context, right? In all the Himalayan regions. And then, of course, you have the other side from old European academic traditions of oral exam. I think that it can be adapted. There's no reason for it to have to stay in a particular way. I think the important thing is that the questions are designed not to be yes or no, or for the students to just memorize something and then regurgitate facts. But this exam, even at Naropa, professors will take it and they will do slightly different things with it, depending on what the course is or how they do it. And we've had to change it a little bit because we now do it on online courses as well. So I think playing around with it is fine. I think if this works and if anyone is interested in learning how to do it and implementing it, we'd be very happy to share any resources that we have.
Thank you so much, Amelia.
Yeah.
This was the set of questions from my side. And would you like to add on anything if you missed out something?
I think one is just I'm very, very grateful to be able to come to Bhutan and for this conference and everything that you're doing in this country for the environment, for education, for the flourishing of humans' happiness and the well-being of the planet. I have so much gratitude for Bhutan. I hope I can come back again. And just to also say that myself and my university, if anyone is interested in learning about how to implement the exam or they want to know more, then they're more than welcome to contact me. You can find me on Naropa's website.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Amelia.
you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Tashi Dile.